Boy, it sure seems like there's nothing I can do to stop these red days. Man, oh man. At least it wasn't all bad today. We did have some green on the charts. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It is Thursday, May the 8th. Time to do our daily recap on the day. And yeah, unfortunately had a pretty well, I don't know, it wasn't as bad a red day as we've had earlier this week, but another $1,000 today. Just these bottom four accounts just simply got wrecked here in this chop session after we made this big move this morning. That was really my undoing. Had a good morning session, profitable trades this morning, up a couple $100 on these top accounts, which is good. I got these two, the ones that have been the closest to a payout. We're not really close yet, but this account was at 1550 at one point, so we're slowly pushing back on it a little bit. But yeah, I just kind of got caught this sideways chop. I took a little bit more trades today than I typically do. I took, I think, 11 trades total. I'm not going to take the time to go through every little detail just because 11 trades, it's going to take a few minutes. But here's today, $1,000, 36% win rate, which is not great. Average win to loss wasn't bad. I would love to see it a little bit higher than this, but the average winner was 100. Average loser was technically 100 as well. But man, we are just putting together a pretty sucky red week. Matter of fact, I don't know. I don't be surprised if I simply take a week off. I might just take a week off and just kind of try to clear my head a little bit. We'll see. I'm not going to say that I will for sure, but right now, after 4 red days, doesn't seem like a bad idea. We'll see how tomorrow goes and maybe look at early next week, but I might take some time off. We'll see. We'll see. On the week, let's just look at the weekly stats. I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like. Now, $6,000 in the whole, 32% win rate, about the same as today. Honestly, it's just not been a good week. So again, I'm not going to walk through every little detail on the trades here, just because there was quite a few. There were some nice trades. There were also some not so good trades. So let's just walk through on the big picture here on the charts. So this morning I made I really missed a big opportunity on gold. My game plan this morning, and again, I came to the markets. I didn't even open the charts until after the market opened, so I was scrambling a little bit trying to get a trade plan put together for the day. I say scrambling a little bit. I didn't want to miss anything in a sense, but in any case, I was looking at a retest in the overnight yesterday, and in the overnight we had this move here, and we were I was really looking for a retest short of this area from about the 33.78s to the 33.66s, somewhere here. Yesterday's lows and kind of these two areas right in here, this channel, so to speak. And I was looking for a short, and my short idea was to short this down into the overnight lows. Well, we got that this morning, actually very soon after the open, about 10 o'clock. I took a short, and on the pullback to VWAP, I added a contract. And then I got this fill on the first target there, and then I moved my stop to right above this level. And that was a mistake. I should have just left it break even or left it above yesterday's low. I don't know why I do that from time to time, but I do, or I won't leave my stop, in the proper place, and I get stopped out. So I had a winning trade. It wasn't like it was a loser, but I get stopped out. We chop around here, we retest this thing one more time, and absolutely flush. So I missed a probably $400 trade there, at least, maybe more. I had the right game plan, had the right thought. The trade was setting up. I just didn't execute on the management of that trade like I should have, and that's on me. But that was frustrating. I was frustrated to see this. I actually didn't see this. I came back and looked at this when we had this move going on, and I almost re-shorted it because this was almost a retest of this, which it's exactly what it was. This wick here was a retest of this area, and I almost re-shorted it, and I thought, I missed my move. I'm going to let it go because I just didn't want to take that trade when we weren't at the level I was anticipating, which was probably smart, from sticking to the rules, but missed a big opportunity on gold. So that was one thing. I took on the top 4 accounts, that gold trade was on those accounts. And then I also took, this was the only other trade I took, was this short right here. This was actually soon after the open. Actually almost 10 o'clock as well. This little retest of this level, shorting this, and I would have got out. I was actually, my stop was sitting, my ATM stop was sitting somewhere here, and I was trying to move it up to this low, or somewhere in this general area. I was trying to move it to that point, and my Ninja Trader froze, and it placed the stop, either placed the stop there, or when it basically unlocked, it stopped, took me out of the trade. And it was a winning trade, like I think $140 winner or something like that. So it was a nice little winning trade, but it could have been a little bit more had that not happened. On the bottom half, then that was really, the only 2 trades was the gold trade and this trade on these top accounts, and we were up, a couple $100. Again, if I get that gold trade, these accounts are probably sitting at around 600 positive, which would be awesome, especially with the red week we've had. But anyway, no use crying over spilled milk. It is what it is. So I took this long after we had this move out, and I almost took it off of this yesterday's high. And the reason I didn't, or I'm sorry, I was looking at this. I almost took this trade off of yesterday's high in this level on ES 5680, which came into play here end of day. And the reason I didn't take it is because I really felt strongly that NQ needed to reclaim this 120 or 125 almost, because here we had it resistance turned to support and we would fall below it. And I really wanted that to reclaim before I take a long on ES, which was a smart move. So I took the trade not on ES like I was initially looking at taking, but I ended up taking it on NQ and got out there with about $80. And my second target was up here, and right in this area. I hesitated a little bit to take this trade, which was a bit of a mistake. I should have taken it down here. So I hesitated a little bit, and then I got stopped out on the second contract, like literally just, a couple of points past my entry, and then we wicked right back up and kept on going. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but you'll have that. If the entry would have been a little bit more precise, it probably would have been better. And then that set up this trade where we broke, actually, I got to go to ES. We broke these highs. This is that major high on ES right here. This is that big high I had marked out at the 57.25s. Pretty clear to see. And if anybody studies technicals, that's pretty easy to see. And again, here up on ES, our NQ, we had the 20,260s, that 265, 260 range. So we had broken those levels almost simultaneously across ES and across NQ. And so I was looking to long that. That was part of my plan today, was if we get above that and hold it, I want to long that. And so I took the ES trade first, and I was probably a little bit aggressive because of the big move. I was afraid it was going to go. So, you could say trading with a little bit of FOMO, which is not smart. Entered, had a little wick up, stopped out break even. I re-entered the trade, and I get literally stopped to the tick. This one was a little bit frustrating. Literally get stopped to the tick. I mean, it's not even touching the marker on the charts, but I did get stopped out there perfectly, and then we bounced back up on ES. So that was a little bit tough to swallow, and so at that point, that was the same point right here. And had I been, I should have been more cautious. I should have been more careful. Probably shouldn't have re-entered that ES trade. But when I got stopped out, I flipped back over to NQ, and I noticed this. We were holding perfectly at this 260 and the overnight high. So I did take that long, got out of there with one contract at $115. And then I did move my stop because we couldn't go, and I was afraid that this would stop out. And this is a recurring theme today. Move my stop up here to protect my trade, got stopped out. Well, nice winning trade, $140 some trade, which is okay, but we push right back up. And what really should have happened is if my stop was at break even, and it should have stayed there, I don't think this would have stopped me out. It was still probably a point or so above my break even entry spot there. But had I left that go, we could have got out up here with a lot more profit. You know, probably would have had a couple $100 trade, and it probably would have changed the day because I would have been green on these accounts. I think, in fact, I think after this trade, I was almost green, not quite. So then because of this little wick, I decided to just re-enter and held that trade for about 45 minutes, pushed all the way up here, and I really should have taken profit here. My first target was somewhere around the 50s, I think right at 350, if I remember correctly. And then, you know, we topped out here around almost at the 40s, and I really should have taken one off. I thought this thing really should go with the fuel that we had, and it just didn't. And I ended up getting stopped out break even, which was pretty sad. After being up, you know, I could have actually just closed the entire trade at like 115. So that was a little bit tough. And then we retested this area. I think I jumped back and forth between ES and NQ here. I jumped in on this one and just completely failed. In fact, I had no winning trades on ES. I took another one over here. This was the last trade of the day. I thought, actually, I'll get to that in a minute because I want to talk about that. So I took another long here, again, had a little bit of a move up, got stopped out break even, and then we flipped. And, you know, when this continued to just kind of bleed lower, and we flipped below this high area at the 260s, and also had a candle stop right below yesterday's high of day and flipping right to that point. When that happened after this long bleed down, I said, all right, well, I'm going to just short this because this is probably going to fall apart. We can't seem to get above, so I'm going to take it short. And I did. And I stayed in this trade because that was at the exact same time that ES was doing this. And we pushed up and we were rejecting right here perfectly. And it just failed, and I got stopped out. Obviously that didn't, you know, on ES, we finally pushed up through it. I get stopped out on the NQ trade. And then I take ES long thinking, this is, you know, I really was going to stop trading for the day, but this just held and held and held above here. And I'm like, all right, well, I better just take it long because we couldn't fall down below. And really the hindsight, this whole area, this entire area was just a chop city, and it was just not chop city, but it was just a sideways action, and it wasn't healthy trading in it, and that's where I got wrecked on these accounts. Took that long, and obviously it just failed. And yeah, that was the last trade I took, and then we ultimately had this big fail, and I wasn't paying attention to this, but look at the other trade I missed on the Dow. Look at the beautiful break and retest short we had end of day. And had I noticed this, I'm sure I would have taken it because we failed right at these highs on NQ on the push up. We failed on the push up on ES at these highs. So we were really making lower highs. And on the Dow, we pushed up perfectly to this prior spot here around the 41.18 or 41.780. So missed one there too, probably as well. But, you know, it is what it is. Actually, that I couldn't trade anyway because I was past my 400 and I wasn't continuing to trade after that point. So maybe I wouldn't have taken that trade. But you can kind of tell. I mean, this section here, I just didn't trade well. I didn't trade well in it. And honestly, there was a lot of fakey moves, especially after we retested this area. It's just kind of a fake out and ended up, you know, we ended up giving back pretty much all of the news move we had here this morning. So we'll see where this thing goes. But again, I really want to focus on having a good day tomorrow. If I trade it tomorrow, I'm going to be careful. I said that about today, and I was trying to be careful, and I just got suckered into some trades here. So it is what it is. So anyway, that's a wrap. That was today. Not the greatest, but that's the story. So again, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for following along. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you guys supporting me using code BCT with Take Profit Trader and Apex. Both of those having some good discounts going on right now. So take advantage of that if you need to. And again, thanks for following along. So once again, appreciate you guys. Until next time, take care and so long.